So we've got our existing conditions model here, if you remember, and I haven't finished it yet. I haven't put in doors, I haven't put in windows on the side, I haven't finished painting it. Absolutely, I should do that. And to make my life easier and to navigate the model more effectively, there are three things that you kind of need to use, three tools or concepts to help you navigate the model. The first is saving scenes. So scenes are these ways that you can return to a particular spot in the model. And I'll go to the scenes menu over here on the right side of your screen on the default toolbar. And right now there's nothing in it. What the heck? Where are all my scenes? And it's because you haven't created any yet. If you click the little plus sign over here, it will add a scene. And what's cool about that is I can zoom around. Who knows what's going on? Oh, I want to go back to where I was. You can just click on that scene, either the tab up here on the upper right, or I believe you can just double click on the scene in the scenes menu. And it has a little preview. And these, you can have any number of these. I don't even know if there is a limit. And they save all sorts of different features. So for example, it saves the camera angle, the camera height, the field of view, and the view settings, any other view settings that are attached to that. So it's really great to have, say, an overview of your model, both from the interior and from the exterior. So I can scroll in. If you remember, you go in here, it takes a while to scroll. And now I can look around either by orbiting or using the look tool is even better. And if you remember, interiors do want to have a wider field of view. I guess mine's already set to 55. But so say here's a view to the back of my project. I can add that in. If you click on the details menu here in the scenes tab, it'll bring up greater information. So I could actually rename these interior, and I could rename this exterior front, for example. And I'm terrible at spelling today, apparently. Anyway, just hit enter and it redoes it. And if you make any changes, so for example, maybe I'm going to pan over a little bit and use the look tool to look more directly in the straight back. Maybe I want a 1-point perspective instead of a 2-point. I can right click on the scene name and update it. And it will say, what do you want to update? And I want to update all of these things. The camera location, of course, is the most important. But anything that's hidden, anything like that, you can update it. Now, what you might have noticed is it did say hidden. So let's say I want to have a view of the inside of my model where I have hidden this roof. I can come in and I can save this scene. And this would be great for sort of having an overview of the interior. I can just create that new scene and call it interior overview. And what's great is I can switch from each one of these. You see how it brings the roof back or it sets it out in this view. Okay, so these scenes are super handy for navigating the model. You can have, oh, I want to do something on the exterior. I want to put some steps in. I want to put some cafe tables out in front. Having that scene is really handy. Now, the element number 2 that's really handy for viewing your model are styles. Now, styles allow you to look at your model in different graphical formats. I'm going to go in the styles menu. It has the same options kind of when you first open it. There are different styles, including assorted styles, and then it has the ones that are in the model. I'm going to go to assorted styles, and what you'll see are various different views of your model. So, and you just click on them to apply them. So if I click on this one, it kind of distorts the materials. It also creates kind of a black sky. This may or may not be interesting for as you're modeling, but it may be super handy when you go to present. This style has more of a hand-drawn look to it. If I go to the default styles, one thing to notice here, and each of these have a name. Let me see if I can sort this by just a list. You can see that there's kind of architectural design style. That's pretty much what we were in before. There's interior design. They don't make a huge amount of difference. Let's go back to the the view where we can see all the thumbnails. Let's go with large thumbnails. You can see that some of them look like they have materials visible, and some of them don't. Now, the big thing for us is as our models get more complicated, sometimes they slow down. So you will want to use one of these styles that have the little itty-bitty tiny clock next to it. Like I'll click this shaded with textures view. Doesn't look all that much different, but it does a few things kind of under the hood to make it operate more quickly. This is a great style to use as you operate in your model. Now, if I change the style of the view, I can come back here to the Scenes menu. And what are we? This is the exterior front. I can just click the Update Scene button, and it will update the style. You can see here in the middle of the menu, it says Style and Fog. Okay. Now, let's say I want to try a style that's like a sketchy style. Maybe I'm thinking of doing a presentation drawing, and maybe I want it to just be kind of black and white. Here, let's go with a more pencil-y look to it. Ooh, that's pretty scribbly. Oh, I kind of like that one. That one looks pretty nice. I'll stick with that one. Now, each of these scenes can also show other features. So right now you can see it's a little sketchy. I don't see the horizon or anything like that. You can actually come in and edit this style and change a number of features. For example, you can add things like depth cues and profiles. They aren't huge, but they will make a difference, more in some styles than the other. You can also change how much the ends kind of cross, and how much of a halo you get, a halo effect. I don't think it'll make much of a difference in this particular view. You can also add in or subtract out detail depending on what kind of drawing you want. Finally, you can control the color of the lines. Right now, these are blue, which I don't know quite why it's blue. I'm going to go with black. But I could go with gray or something like that. So those are the basic features. You can also control a whole number of other things. Let's leave transparency alone. You can add in features like a sky or the ground. Okay, and now you start to see, oh, there's our little site, and there's the horizon line. You see how that gives it a little bit more information. And you can control how transparent or not these things are by just dragging these sliders. You can really kind of tweak this to be have all sorts of features that you like. Finally, model axes and guides. Those are usually off. See how when I turn that on or off? You may or may not want those on for a presentation drawing. In our case, probably not. Finally, section planes and section cuts. Well, that's the last thing we need to talk about, but I'm just going to make these last changes, and I want to add a scene with this style, and I absolutely can use the plus button over here in the scenes menu. I could also just right-click on a scene and choose add, and what it will tell you is it'll give you a warning message. I have made changes to the style, and just dragging those sliders and all that kind of thing. I'm just going to update that selected style. The style will not change sort of in the default value, so if you open a new project, it will return to that original. And I'll click Create Scene. So now I can jump, and again, you can rename it if you want. I can jump from this view to this view very quickly. And it's just a way to kind of say, what do I think of this model in monochrome? It's actually kind of a different way to think of your. So the last thing that can really help you kind of navigate your model, see how it's all coming together, is this feature here. It's called the section plane. And what this will do, it will cut through your model. I'll just click on it in whatever direction it's pointing. So you see how it can point that way, it can point that way, it can point down. I can also force it to go one way by tapping the arrow keys, which I'm doing now. I don't know if you can hear it or not. Anyway, I'm just gonna force it to go left to right. See how it says locked plane, and I'll click basically kind of in the middle of this building. And what you'll see is the section plane menu comes up and it says, oh, you're going to insert a section plane. Do you really want to do that? And yes, I do. And you can name these because in a complex drawing you might have multiple ones. But you see how now I can see through the model. It actually highlights what's cut through. And if you've behaved yourself and used groups and successfully, no matter where the section cuts in your model, you should be seeing the inside of the walls. Okay. And so that looks pretty nice. It's an actual section. And we can even turn this into an orthographic view. So typically, a section is going to be an orthographic view because it could be a section perspective. So there's a couple of other tools that you need to help you out. One is the Views menu. And I'm just going to right-click on a blank area of my screen, of my toolbar area, and go to the Views menu. If I choose that, oh, there it is. It was on my other screen. So these toolbars can be manipulated. So mine's kind of stacked vertically. I don't know why it's doing that. It's a little weird. I can kind of stretch it so that it is horizontal. I can dock it up on the top of the toolbar. Usually double-clicking gets it up there if it doesn't kind of dock on its own. And you can pull toolbars on and off of your menu just by dragging them. So like, I don't know if I really need this one, but maybe I do. Maybe I like it. I can just drag it back up there. So this is really handy because if you look at these little icons, they're kind of like standard views, top view, front view, right view, left view of the same little house. The icon is very helpful that way. So if I click the front view, well, now the camera is basically perpendicular to the green axis. It's kind of looking straight back in my house. And this is a section perspective. Now, if you want to have it be just a true orthographic section, go to the view pull-down menu, camera pull-down menu, and go to parallel projection. And that will force it to be in orthographic view. And you may see some strange things. So for example, you see how there's like a little bit of a bow at the bottom of this, and that's probably the site. Okay. And these are things which, if it's important in our project, we will correct them either here in the model or when we do our final drawings. But anyway, this is a pretty typical drawing, and so we are going to add that to our scenes. We'll click Add. And when we add a scene, when we've added a section plane, you want to save that as a new style. And the reason is typically section planes are not always displayed in styles. So, and I can't remember which style I was using in this scene before I added this, but anyway, let's create this and save it as a new style. That way we have one style where section planes are off and one where they're on. So if I go back to my exterior front, fortunately that one didn't have the section planes on. When I go back to scene 5, it should turn the section plane back on. And you might, and here, let me call this section north south, I believe it is. Or maybe, no, maybe it's east-west. No, it's north-south. North-south. Okay. And one thing with the styles, they do work together with the scenes. So for example, let's say the way the section fill looks in this, maybe I want it to have some other color. I can actually go to the Styles Edit menu and pick some other color. Let's go with like a dark red and OK. And you see how it changes the section fill. And I can even change the line weight of the section lines, like anything that is cut through can have a nice heavy line to it. Sometimes that's a little distracting, and it depends on the scale that you ultimately end up doing it at. You can also choose whether or not you want, again, the guides and the model axes. I tend to turn those off. But now, you see how there is the Update Style button? Any scene that has used this style, if I update it, it will now have this new color. So for example, I have this view. Let's say I want a plan view. I can come in, stick in a plan. I'm going to click the up arrow to force the plan to look, the section plane to cut down, and then click at some point on the height of the wall. And then I'll use my saved views to go to the top view. And because I'm in orthographic mode in top view, you see how I have what basically is a floor plan. Now, be careful. Don't orbit the model. Oh no, I ruined it. It's not a plan anymore. Just click the top view. and now it's a true plan. And you can add in that scene. Go here to scenes. I'll add it in. And this is scene 6. I'll call it a plan. Now I'm starting to get a lot of scenes, so I could set this so that it doesn't show me the preview anymore. Right now, I think actually it's set to large thumbnails. Let's see. Use scene thumbnails. We can uncheck that box, and it will not use the scene thumbnails. Oh, I guess we have to select them all, don't we? And turn them off. But anyway, that will speed up your model. If you have dozens and dozens of scenes, select them all and uncheck the use scene preview. If you name them appropriately, so like plan and section, I think that's pretty clear. They should change no problem. Now the other thing is, and let's change this to just a list. So now you can see it's a little easier to navigate. If I come in and I'm like, I don't like that style anymore. For example, you see how I see the section plane, that's the vertical section plane? I don't like that. I don't want to see that. I can just turn it off. If you go to the Style menu, there's that option, turn off section plane, see how it disappears. Oh, if I just hit Update, now when I go to this scene, it should remember, because it's using the same style. It doesn't care if the section planes are on and off. It's just, it uses the same style. And now in plan, it's the same thing. I've removed the visibility of that section plane, but not the section itself. Same with section fill. If I turn that off, you see how it becomes invisible, or you can turn it on, and it remembers that I changed it. So you can pretty quickly create a number of different views. So with the section plane on, you can see that this is a plan view. Now, what if I want this to be a site plan view? Now, typically a site plan shows, you guessed it, the site, but it also shows the roof. It doesn't show the section plane. Well, now I can go back to my styles menu, go to in model, and I do have a lot of these. Let me see. I don't remember which one I used. Let's see if I can purge the unused one. Oh yeah, there we go. I believe I used this shaded with textures to indicate that there are no section planes, or maybe I used this one. Nope. Let's try that. See how this, when I switch to this shaded with textures view, I believe that's the same one that's used here in the exterior front. Yeah, it is. Okay, so if I go to the plan view, but I change the style to shaded with textures, I can edit this style and turn off section cuts. See how now I just have the roof visible, and I'll update this style and save this scene. Add it. I can even rename it up here and call it site. Whoops, I could try to rename it. I don't know what happened there. Rename. The scene name must not be blank. Well, for crying out loud, I'm trying to rename it. All right, well, sometimes you run into problems. Let's rename it here and call it site plan. I think I'm a little heavy on my left hand there. I'm left-handed, so that messes everything up. All right, so anyway, in theory, we should be able to switch from the floor plan view, which shows the interior, to the site plan view, which does not. All orthographic views. So your mission here in this project is to save these several scenes. Save the exterior front and the exterior overview, an interior view. Towards the back is fine. And I forget what this one was. Oh, a sketchy view. Let's call that sketchy view. Sketchy view. The site plan and the floor plan. Now, one fun thing that you can do, by the way, I'll show you how this works, is you can make this play an animation. So let's say I wanted to have the exterior view and then the exterior sketchy view. If I put these in the order that, some order that makes sense, you can actually make like a little presentation. So maybe I'll cut a section and then I'll do, or maybe I'll do the site plan next. And then I'll do the section north-south and the plan. And if you do that, you can right-click on this and choose Play Animation. and I believe it'll start wherever you were. But you see how it jumps from one scene to the next. And this can actually be a nice little movie. You, in fact, have the ability to control how long it pauses. You could make make it so it doesn't pause at all between scenes, and make it a nice little walkthrough. Or you could make it so that it is just individually pausing, so you can talk about each view at the time. Okay, let's stop the insanity here. Stop. Finally, don't forget to save your model, and so that you don't lose your progress. And there you go. That's how you can make saved scenes of a number of different views. So following along with the idea of the section planes is the other kind of orthographic view we typically do, which are axonometrics and elevations. Now, really, the axonometric couldn't be simpler. I'm in this perspective view, and if I just go to camera, parallel projection, that's basically your axonometric view. And you might want to choose a style which is going to look good in this particular view. Perhaps for our case, we'll choose one. This exterior view is fine. So we'll leave it at that. And you can just save yourself a scene. So we've done that before, right? You go to the scenes menu, and which I seem to have. Oh, there it is. Scenes menu, and add yourself a new view, and be sure to name it. Naming it, among other things, helps you remember what the heck it is. And don't forget, like, oh, I should center this. You can just right-click on it and update the scene, or just choose the recycle button, and that will update it. So there's our axonometric. In fact, maybe I'll put it down at the bottom, put all my orthographic views down there. Now, what about elevations? Elevations are loads of fun, and they're pretty easy to do. You just click on the front view, and yeah, there it is. There's your elevation. And I'll zoom in on it, center the view a little bit, but add that in, and that is going to be the south elevation. The way that you label elevations, it's the side of the building that it's on, not the side it's facing. So south elevation. You could call it south exterior elevation, but I'm starting to run out of space here. In fact, maybe I'll just choose south elev, so I don't use up too much of my screen space. And you can make the other ones. The right side is going to be the east elevation. Just come around here and add a new scene and call that one east elevation. Again, these names, they're more for your purposes than anything else. Let's go, where were we? South, east. This one, the left side, is going to be the west side. So again, make yourself a new scene. West elevation. And then finally, the north side of your building. Oh, that's that one. That's the back side. I mean, typically you do go around the compass rather than what I'm doing left and right, but this is the way the buttons are set up, so I'm going to go with it for now. And when we do our final drawings, we'll be able to do that. So you can see here, you can pretty quickly model the entire building very quickly from the exterior, and you can get these axonometrics, the elevations, all these wonderful views. And here you can really start to study the proportions. Like I look at it here, and I think, first of all, why did I use the sandbox tool to pull my ground? But also an awning might be nice. You know, maybe some windows up top would be nice. And you know, that said, that's a really big space. When I take a look at the interior, I think, oh boy, you know, some exposed beams would make this look like a really nice place too. Again, we're using this as a design tool. I added crown molding. Maybe I'll use the same technique to put in a wall base. Probably a good idea to put in the back door first. You know, and I haven't thought about certain things like lighting at all. And, you know, until we learn how to render, that we won't be able to do that. But having each of these views quickly accessible, like, oh, that's a boring view. You know, we can absolutely try to fix up these views and make them look as nice as possible. Okay, so we have all these lovely saved scenes. We know how to make movies. We know how to have sections and plans. We also want to submit them for homework. I think we've already seen that you can export a 2D graphic, which is just a single image. It'll be of whatever's on your screen, and you can select any number of file formats, actually. PDF is one of them. AutoCAD file, interesting enough, is another one. But it will only do what's on the screen. So what we want to do, we can actually print to a PDF. Let's check the print print option on the pull-down menu. If you just go to File, Print, Control-P, also works. You can, first of all, check which printers you have. If you have Adobe, Adobe's generally better than any of the other PDF writers, but if you don't, that's okay. Microsoft Print to PDF is a great option. So you choose that option, and you can even check the properties here. I don't think there's only so many that we can choose from. Let's see, we could make it landscape, and we could go to advanced and make sure that it's on a letter size, which actually is not absolutely critical, but anyway, okay, fine. Let's go back. We can also, in this menu, choose scenes rather than just the current view. And let's take a look at the preview and see what that looks like. Let's see. Oh, it's on my other screen. Drag it over for you here. You can see here that you can go to the next page and you'll have all of our saved scenes. And this PDF is actually handy if you do, for whatever reason, need to print. Let's say your instructor wants a check print of your progress and they want all of your scenes. Absolutely, you can do this. So anyway, let's go back to the print menu. Just click print in the preview. And it will ask you, well, where do you want to save it? This absolutely is fine. Just make sure you save it where you can remember it is. I never do that. And so I'm going to browse for my folder for this project in this class, and I'm going to give it a name. And I would strongly encourage you to give it a name that's easy to remember, as opposed to like darn it or hate this project or ZZZZ number 3 or something like that. Try to have a name that's descriptive. I'm going to give it a name with a date on it. Now there is the date embedded in the file, but yeah, it just makes it easier when you're looking at 12 different PDF files, which one is which. But then you click save and it should save it onto your computer. And there they are, all in their glory. I can flip through, I can print it, I can email it off to somebody, and it's all at a high enough resolution that you can make good evaluations of your project.